Well, Shervin, thank you again for coming in with me here with the Woman Pod with Valerie Atkinson. So, everybody, I wanted to invite a special guest today from Hidden Innuendos podcast. And he has his own podcast, by the way. So, you guys are more than welcome to go check out his podcast. He's actually on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, from what I understand, right, Shervin?
That's correct. Yeah, last time I checked.
That's good. That's good. So, Shervin, I wanted to open up a little bit here today by, how did you come up with your name on your podcast?
That's a great question. This happened years ago, believe it or not, before podcasts were even invented or even
Really?
created. Oh yeah. So I don't know if you're familiar with NPR.
What is that?
NPR radio?
Never heard of it.
Okay, yeah. So there's a substation in Los Angeles called KCRW. And late at night there'd be this DJ named Raul Campos. And he had a station called Nocturna. It was like progressive house and very eclectic type of music and late at night. And I used to be
Hmm.
driving from Orange County to San Diego almost every night because I worked out there. So anyway, the radio station that I would listen to was mostly a guy with a smooth voice and talking about music and also having guests on. And I was like, one day I would love to have something similar to this, where there's music incorporated, people that you're talking to, and then for some odd reason, something came to me. It just dawned on me every single moment where I was just like coming up with it. Like I had some type of rhythm in the background. I didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden it came up to it's time to soothe, groove, and move
Oh.
to those hidden innuendos. Yeah. And then we fast forward to 2 years ago when I first started the podcast
Mhm.
is I was on a date with this girl and I was trying to find the name of the podcast. I was like, oh, can you cuss? Can you cuss? Are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
"Oh, shit." I was like, "Oh, shit, there's the name. Hidden Innuendos." And there it is.
Wow, that's crazy. I thought about that. I was like, I wonder how he came up with the name.
I know. So it's funny too because right when you think about it, is people ask you, "Are there any innuendos in the podcast?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Should there be? You tell me."
Wait, so what are innuendos? That's curious. I'm curious because that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, I can understand the hidden part, but what is like? Can you give me like a brief summary of what that
Yeah,
is?
it's like a hint. Yeah, so it's like, how do I describe it? It's like kind of like flirtatious in a way.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I would say that's probably the best way of representing what innuendos is. Like kind of like a nonchalant way of being flirtatious.
Oh, that's kind of like the dark feminine side, like
Yeah.
like where you want to embody like the confidence, but you also don't want to come off too like, like you're available, but you are in a set, but you have it, you have that power, you have that power and people just want you even more.
Right. And I think women possess the most amazing power, and that's the power of the vagina. Seriously, I mean, like, like people like to just sugarcoat it. I just don't want to anymore because let's just call a
Yeah, be
spade a spade.
real.
Yeah. And women do possess that. Brian, don't you agree? When you go out at night or when you are
Absolutely.
surrounded by men, and yes, these men are looking at you because you're attractive, but the fact is like you have what they want. That is to fill the hole. Seriously.
I love it. I love being a woman, honestly. I don't know if I could be a man. Like,
You don't
it's
want
kind
to.
of hard. It's kind of hard. Like, I think for you guys, from stories that I've heard from friends that are like not like guy friends, it's a lot to deal with because one, ego and pride, right? You want to come off strong. You don't want to come off too like I'm scared to do this. But in reality, you guys kind of have best of both worlds at sometimes, like at some point, because you have to break that wall at some point to kind of approach a woman.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah. It is tough though. Like I can't speak for most men, but even though there's a common ground where we all men want to find true love and want to find that girl, a lot of men don't want to because they're afraid of that. Like when you think about that, because they're afraid to open up their heart to someone, especially a woman, because they think that she may do something that's going to make me go back to square one. And that's being single again.
Wow,
And
that's crazy that you bring that up
yeah,
because one thing that I was going to ask you, like, how can women maintain their power while dating in a world where a lot of they feel often like they have to chase, especially in this modern world, with everything going on.
right. Yeah, I think honestly is I think we need to press the reset button and go back to square one. And
Oh,
I blame social media. I do blame dating apps, but again,
yes.
guilty as charged. I'm on dating apps as well.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's great. I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but there's a lot of manipulation to it when you think about it.
Mm.
And if women want men to meet in an organic world, we're happy to do that. However, I think we need to go back to the ABC rules of meeting someone organically. And I
That's true.
think women need to help us men out. I'm not saying we need a lot
Mm.
of help, but I think it goes down to the easy steps, and that's the eye contact. Is the engagement of the eyes to show that, yeah, I'm interested. Come talk to me. I'm gonna
Mm.
make it safe for you. I'm gonna make it very easy for you. So
Oh, I love that.
all you gotta do, men of the world, is just don't say something stupid, right? That's
Oh
it.
my god, that would be me. I'd be so nervous that I'd probably say something silly and like probably make the other person laugh, but it'd be like, okay, I'm just nervous, but low key, I know what I said was silly of me, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's good that you bring that up because I was having a conversation with my therapist and he was telling me, you know, it's implanted now even in younger adults, right? We're so attached to the instant gratification that we're so already used to the social norm. People just want to DM, they just want to like text, they don't even want to call. And that's crazy because I said that's funny because I don't call anymore either. I think it's just weird, but I would love to have a phone call conversation. I love talking to my person. Like if I had one, like for me that shows love, you know, that shows you care, that shows you want to spend time with me even if you're not with me. That just shows a little bit of, you know, that you care.
yeah. Let me ask you this though. As a woman, how much time is adequate enough for you to say, this guy is interested, but we're not putting a lot of too much effort into it? Like, would you think like a 10-minute call every other day would suffice? Is that okay with you?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that would be honestly the thought of you doing that counts to me. Like even if it's a small 5 minute conversation because either I'm about to go to the gym or I'm about to pick up the kids from the daycare, you know, like that just shows me like, hey, like he took the time out of his day, even though he's pressing on time to give me a call.
Yeah.
And I think for me that shows vulnerability on the man's side, and I think that shows like he cares. He cares. He wants to stay connected, even if he hasn't texted me throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all busy, and I
True.
know I'm busy.
Yeah. How would you want men to do that? How would you feel it's necessary for a man to come talk to you? Like, what types of measures would you take for a guy to come and say hi to you? Like, would you give him that open window of like smiling at him or go up to
But
him a little bit
yeah, for
closer?
sure, I would definitely. The minute I get, it's like it's almost like I get this like little feeling, and then I'm like, man, like this guy. You know, like I don't know if you've ever had that experience where like it's love at first sight, and you just like it's just like, oh
Yes.
my god, and it's hard to take your eyes off of this person.
You know, that's so funny you mentioned that. I remember I was at the beach about maybe 3 weeks ago with my
Oh,
kids, and I saw this girl. She was by herself, but she was with a couple, and
okay.
she was like totally my type, the type of girl that I wanted to talk to. I had this window of opportunity because her friends left her and she was laying down by herself.
Oof.
But the
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the beach is one of the hardest parts or places to meet someone because there's a lot of vulnerability. The fact is that you're pretty much almost half naked, right?
Yes.
You're
Right.
going up to a
Right.
person, you're half naked.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, oh, you know.
Yeah. So like body exposure is one thing, and then going up to a woman is another, especially like when she's out trying to like, get some sun or just outside on the beach. Like, do you think that's an adequate place to meet women? Or for a man to come and talk to a woman?
I think in any means, I don't think it's an issue, but I think it's all about how you go, like how you pursue it,
Yeah.
right? How you go about it, because there's so many ways. I've been approached many, many times at the beach, and mind you, I can tell when a guy's just wanting to have a good time, or if a guy's just really wanting to get to know me, right? Like, but the woman has the power to it too. You know, that's the thing about
Exactly.
women.
Right.
You can either engage for a little bit and, you know, like have a little nice little talk, you know, back and forth. And if it clicks, it clicks. You know, at that point, the guy's gonna want to either give her her number, right? You could give her her number, like, hey, well, it was nice meeting you today. I see you're with your friends. You know, maybe we can catch up. I would love that because honestly, like yes, like you said, she's with her friends, right? And you were with your family, at the same time, you can't be like, it's kind of hard,
It's tough,
and I
right?
get it.
Yeah. But you have to try. And I
Yeah, you
think, like,
do.
yeah. I think that the reason why I'm still upset about it is because I should have tried. You
You
know what I
should
mean?
have.
I
You
should have.
should have.
Yeah. And I think men do that. I think certain men, or most men, I'm hoping, they have that feeling of regret. Like, damn, I wish I should have done that. Like, why? Why couldn't I have?
Well, why couldn't you?
Why couldn't I? Exactly.
Did
What
you
was
ask
stopping
yourself
me?
that question?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what was it?
I honestly think that it was the not the failure of rejection, but I think it was
Mm,
it was the lack that my kids were watching me, knowing that I wanted to talk to a girl. And it's funny too, because like my kids now, they are always looking at me because they know that I'm always looking, right? But truth be told, I have every right to. I'm a single dad.
right.
I'm a man. I like women. I want to not only get to know them, but I also, if there's a girl that sparks my interest, I want to date her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they're seeing a different side of their dad, but I'm hoping I'm hoping like in like 10 years or maybe 5 years from now, they're not gonna be like, "Oh god, my dad was such a fucking pervert."
I'm surprised your kids were like, come on, go talk to her. Go talk to her. Because there's some kids that are like that, or some are just like too shy, like, no, mom, you know.
Right? I guess our kids don't want us to they do want us to find happiness, but I think it's just very odd for them to see their parents with someone that they don't know.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. You have to really think about the kids always in the
Always.
situation that you're in. I mean, it could have been. I don't blame you for feeling that way. Honestly, I think it's just the fear of the situation, right? You're with your kids. I think if your kids weren't there, I think you would have gone straight for it. I think you would have.
Yeah, yeah.
It would have been different.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. Hey, you never know. You never know. I always say divine timing. I always say at the right time, at the right place, right? It never fails where two people come together and it's just like the divine orchestrates it for you guys. Maybe you'll see her again. I don't know.
You never know. You And that's the thing, excuse me. I do believe that God does put people in front of you for certain reasons. And I do believe that if you do happen to miss that opportunity, I do feel that he brings other people in your life later on down the road to retest yourself, to say, "Okay, let's see what you can do now." And I
Ooh, I love
and I
that.
think the same he's gonna keep doing that over and over and over again because I don't think he's not here to punish.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm not trying
Absolutely
to get
not.
religious here, but I am a firm believer that God wants to help all of us.
He does.
And I think that, there are great things to come, especially when it comes to dating,
No,
especially when
yeah.
it comes to that.
Yeah, I always think and I believe after all my experiences that God's going to put the right man for me, because I know that my non-negotiables and my expectations may be a little high, but I feel he's going to send the right man to take care of me in the way and love me in ways that I didn't even know that was possible, like to the point where I'm going to question myself, is this my person,
Do you question yourself a
because
lot, though?
that what?
Do you question yourself a lot when you're out on dates? Is this guy someone I can see myself with, or am I really sure about this guy?
I have, because again, I guess from past experiences, right? Let's be real. Like you mentioned, right? You're kind of like, is this person going to hurt me? Are they?
Yeah.
And again, I think that goes back to self sabotage, right? Because you already planted a seed and you need to move past that and not repeat that. Like you mentioned, right? God's going to bring another person until you freaking learn, hey, don't do it again. Don't do it again. Or if you want to try it again, let's try it again. Different person, but same situation, same scenario.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I truly believe that. And Shervin, I wanted to ask you, so this is more into the intimacy part.
Yes, I like it.
So
Let's get intimate.
how can women deepen intimacy, connection with their partner while staying true to themselves?
I think the name of the game is to make sure that you are reassuring your partner.
Ooh,
Let them know that I got you, you got me. However, there are moments to where you wanna make sure that you're pressing all the right buttons, and you wanna make sure that they're doing the same for you.
I agree.
And we do lack the coaching ability when it comes to the bedroom, when it comes to being intimate.
So true.
Yeah, you
Like we're
just
too
presume.
afraid.
Yeah, you're being afraid because you presume that everything's going great. It sounds great, right? It does.
Right, right.
But you wanna make sure that it not only sounds great, but it feels great as well.
I like, yep, I agree with you. It has to feel great. It has to. There's no
Has
way
to.
we can continue if I'm not satisfied, you know?
Right. Yeah, and if you're playing that drama, let's just say if you're pla and again, I'm not blaming women, but let's just
No,
be
right.
honest here, most women do that, though. They play that amazing orchestrated dramatic effect of like, "Oh, yes," like, it's just you know what I mean? And
Right,
I
right.
understand that. Sometimes it's okay to play that part, but sometimes it can backfire, and do you mind if I tell you a personal story?
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why I say this is because it backfired on me with my ex-girlfriend was when we were in the bedroom together. This was our last moment of intimacy. It was by far the worst moment.
No,
Was when she pseudo faked an orgasm, right? Like I said, it sounded great,
right?
but when I called her out on that, I said, "Did you climax?" She told me it wasn't even close. Like
Wow.
for a person to say that, especially someone that loved you for that amount of time, men especially start to question themselves like, wait a minute, hold on. Am I a good lover? Was she playing this game the whole entire time?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then you take those steps even further, saying, with all the past women, with all the current women now, am I doing a good job? So your confidence as a man gets diminished the moment that that one person that you instill that trust with happens to grab your heart and just mold it like it's freaking putty. And guess what happens? He's like, you don't forget it. He doesn't want to play because he's now thinking, I'm talking about the penis, of course,
Right, 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 right.
because now they're thinking that, well, what's the whole point of it? She's probably going to fake an orgasm and so on and so forth with the next one.
My God.
So I would be very careful with how these women, again, not saying all women do that, but if you are
Right,
going
right.
to dramatize an orgasm, I would veer on the side of precaution to not do that. Right. And if you are going to do that, is I would go ahead and tell your partners, you know what? I love you. I think you're amazing, but I don't want to be touched that way. Try and touch me this way.
Ooh,
Right.
I
And that's
love
why I go
that.
back to being coachable when it comes to being intimate. You've got to do that, especially when you're in a relationship with someone.
I agree. I agree 100%. I'm glad that you bring that up. That hits a lot of key points, not just for women, but for men in general.
Right.
I think that you were so vulnerable, and I hope, hearing this story and sharing it with me today, that don't let this be your story for every single woman. You learned something.
Yeah.
So it's moving forward and making sure that the next person will communicate those things to you.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we all hope for.
Yeah.
That's what I hope for.
No, we have to hope. We have to hope. It's part of, we're human and we desire more, but we can't get the more if we don't say something.
Right. And that's why I go back to the flaws of dating.
Mm.
And part of my job, not only as just a podcast host, but is to change the dating world forever. And that's what I plan on doing. That's what I believe you're planning on doing as well. That's what you and I are both doing together. Because
Yeah, no, for sure.
now
I
you,
admire that.
yeah, you become a dear friend of mine, a dear friend of the family's because you've been on my podcast twice. And
Uh,
yeah, and I feel like the more awareness that we bring out to the world, the more that they start to practice those
I
abilities to
agree.
help the dating world.
I agree. It starts one person to set the example. It
Yeah.
does. It really does. It starts with us, right? It's like I always tell myself, the change starts when you want to go ahead and start that,
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
scary, but
Someone's got to do it.
absolutely, absolutely. I love that you brought that up. And one thing that I'm working on right now, and you know a lot about the self love and me doing this podcast with the Divine Feminine. What role does self love and self pleasure play in building confidence and attraction?
Yeah, it's the practice. I believe that the
Is
more
it?
the more you practice to love yourself, the better you when you go out to the real world, the world will recognize you and see you differently because you've seen yourself in this incredible spotlight.
Mhm.
And once they see that, well, actually, once you see that with yourself, then when you go out there, people are like, oh, I can see this person's done some work. The fact
Mm,
that you can go and have a drink by yourself on a Friday night while you're surrounded by people who are on dates and not be intimidated and not be on your phone, but you
mm.
glare into confidence, admiring people for going out on dates, right? And I think that that shows an incredible amount of confidence. Yeah.
You
But
know what? I need to start doing that again. I stopped doing that. I used to do it a lot. I used to travel by myself. I would just book a travel and rent a car and just like go out there and just discover a little bit here, the culture, and then people just like sit next to me and we start talking. Like that's
yeah,
exactly I miss that. I miss that. I miss that a lot. I don't think I make enough time for that. So I definitely need to start doing that again. Even if the dating polls don't like a little dry for me.
yeah.
I mean, which I'm not worried about, honestly. I think I went through a funk after, my ending with the person I was dating, that I was just like reflecting a lot of the things that I can do moving forward. But there's in a sense I was like, you did everything right, Val. Like honestly, it's just this person was in it and that's okay. Like you just have to keep going. So, but I definitely want to do that. I definitely need to implement more self alone days without the phone.
And that's not easy, right? We're all creatures of bad habit.
It's
We
true, the
do
bad
that.
habit.
But again, we're flawed. We're meant to be flawed. So we all have to understand that. Like it's gonna happen. We're gonna do the wrong thing. We're gonna continue to do the wrong thing. But
Yeah.
I think that you do have to really focus on you and figure out ways to improve yourself. And whether that's meditation or spiritual books or life coaches, whatever it is that you got to do to better yourself.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. So I don't think I told you, but I started therapy again 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
I started again because I was getting really anxious. I was getting very anxiety with life and everything. And JoJo just kind of bottled up. I felt like, I was like, am I going crazy? Like, am I having a midlife crisis? Like, come on, God. And I was like, no, you just have to better your emotions.
Yes.
Like, I'm really hard. Like I bottled a lot of stuff up. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. And for me, it's really hard as a single mother to really like express myself to people or share my things because I feel nobody's going to understand. But this is why I started the podcast, because I was like, people need to know they're not alone. There's so much out there, at some point you're going to have to be vulnerable. So I started back in that, investing in myself. I was like, you know what, let's do it again. It doesn't hurt to try, and hearing it for someone that has that expertise, it helps me understand that we are human. Like you mentioned, how we work, it's our brain and everything. He's mentioned so many things. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't even think about it this way. And yeah, meditation's one that I've been implementing as well. Meditation and not being so hard on myself. There's days where I just don't want to like get ready because he told me, he was like, it's okay. He's like, there's days where you're gonna have to rest, reset, and restart all over
Yeah.
again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
Don't
yeah.
beat don't beat yeah, don't beat yourself up too much, please.
Hmm.
Because I get it. Single parent, you're trying to most importantly feed your children, right? You want to make sure that they're being taken care of first. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But just know that you're doing a great job. I mean, you are. You got
Thank you.
the fact is they're still alive, right? You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like when you think about that, right? It's like, oh,
Exactly.
that's like 99% of the best thing of being a parent is that your kids are still alive. Thank the Lord.
Thank God. No, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're
and they got a
right.
house under a roof. They got an amazing mom.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes I honestly feel like kids are God sent. I kid you not. The other day, I was down the aisle at the market and I had the baby, and it was all three of us. And I'm thinking, like, man, they probably think this girl has three kids. Damn. Like, I'm over here talking, like, hey, don't touch this. Like, and then my son's playing his little video game, and a guy's walking this way. And I like go to the right so he can like walk. And as soon as the guy was walking by, my son's like, Mom, I just want to tell you you're a great mother. I love you. And I was like, oh, like, I love you too, sweetheart.
That's
I
so
was
cute.
like, it was just like a reminder of me, like, hey, don't walk with this face stuff. Like, so overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. Smile for God's sakes.
Do you know what I also believe is that not only are there's such an attraction with women, but I think that the most beautiful attraction that women possess when they have kids is being selfless.
Oh,
When you think about that, that's an amazing attraction. Like the fact that you see a woman like yourself taking care of 3 little kids.
hmm
That's like that's hot, right? When you think about that.
yeah, right.
Like I know this may sound crazy, but I'll just tell you, like I whenever I see a woman who's pregnant, I am so attracted to that woman. I think it's the most beautiful thing in the world. It really is. Like when I see a pregnant woman, I'm like, oh my God, it's just so sexy. Seriously, it drives me crazy. Call me crazy, but it is because again, the power that this woman is bringing life to the world.
That's true.
How beautiful is that?
Yeah, it's a creation. It's a
Exactly.
blessing.
It is. That's right. Instead of people think that's a perversion way of looking at it, that's the way that you have to see it. Is that it's life, it's creation.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right. I think it doesn't matter what situation you're in. I've been in a situation like that when I was pregnant and a guy was really attracted to me. Like he kept bugging and bugging and bugging. I was like, I don't want to talk to nobody right now. It's like every guy on planet Earth was attracted to me, and I was pregnant with my little one.
That's
My little one. It was crazy.
yeah,
Guys would give me gifts. They would give me food. Like it was just so crazy. And I wasn't even expecting this. Like I wasn't asking for it. That's the craziest part. So I think you're right. Like it doesn't matter. But when you're selfless, it's like you give this energy and people just want to serve you. You're just like, I just need to. It's just like
yeah,
I think in that point, you bring up a good point. Like going back to the divine feminine, like I think at that point I wasn't worried. I was just being,
mm,
because when you're pregnant, you're carrying a baby and you're just being, you're in that moment versus all the other stuff that's going around you, because you're worrying about the baby you're carrying.
yeah. You're kind of like a queen for 9 months when you think
Yes.
about it. Is
Yes.
because no man, again, I don't believe any man will ever look down on a pregnant woman, but I
Right.
think every man that sees a pregnant woman, they bend the knee in a way because
Mm.
that woman is possessing life.
And
Because they built. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I feel like women look so gorgeous doing it. Every time I see a pregnant woman too, I'm like, oh my gosh, they look so cute.
Yeah, it is. It's the most incredible shine that like the that God puts on the spotlight for these women. Like I said, like I feel like whenever you see a woman walking by who's pregnant, you just kind of just humbly just let them go and let them know like you are safe
Oh my
and
God, I love
protected.
that. I love that. The
Yeah.
safety part of it. I'm glad that you bring that up, because as a woman, I know you're dating and you're like open and stuff. Like, I think for a woman, we have to have that safety. Like,
Yes.
regardless, if we don't feel safe, there's just no way that we can work or there's no way that we will feel okay.
Yeah, it is. I always make that clear with the women that I date
Mhm.
is I let them know that you're safe with me. Is don't worry, I got you. Even though a lot of them are well, because again, having a podcast about dating,
Right.
they get a little defensive, and that's okay. But I always let them know, like, don't worry, like this may or may not go on the podcast, but
Right.
regardless what happens, I want you just to feel safe.
I love that. I love that you respect the person that you're dating, right? Like you're not going to go out there and tear more than what you need to, right? You have a
Exactly.
foundation, it's
Yeah.
building, you already know like if this were to be my wife, like I don't want to be exposing her or making her feel exposed at any point. Like you're building that, which is great. I know I've thought about this too, where if someone is in my life, they're gonna have to be aware that I'm a podcaster. They're gonna have to be okay with it. But again, protection, right? Protection,
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah. That's a huge issue, and men
I
need to
love
do a
that you
better
say
job of
that.
doing that.
I can see that in you, especially on all your little like your podcast with the girls. I'm like, oh my God, Shervin's such a good you're such a great guy, honestly. Like I see you connecting with this woman and I'm like, I don't understand how he's single.
Thank you.
And I'm
Well,
not laughing at you, hun.
yeah,
I'm
no, I
just saying
appreciate
like you're
that.
an amazing
Thank you,
person.
my friend. I appreciate that. I know it. My time will come. It's funny 'cause, I was on a date last week, and she's like, "What are you looking for?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh, that question."
Was it the first or second date?
This it was our first date.
Okay, first
Yeah,
date. Oh,
yeah.
already? Okay.
And I told her, I said, "Well, just so you know, I can't tell you what I'm looking for because I haven't found it yet."
Oof. And what did she say?
She just stood there and just was in silence.
Mm.
But I can tell you this though, the moment that I found that girl, she will know.
No,
She
yeah, you
will
mentioned
know.
this to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And yeah, so it'll be a day of jubilation.
You'll be fine. I
Oh, yeah.
honestly feel like it'll come in divine timing. And what mistakes do people make when trying to move on from an ex? Like you mentioned your ex a little earlier, right?
Right.
Like, can you bring up a little bit about that? Like, what mistakes do people make when doing this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I hear this a lot. It's the fear of not finding that person right after
Mm.
a breakup. You have to allow yourself some time, and that just depends on you. Depends on your drive, on how
Mhm.
well you can push yourself to get over that person. For me, it was a little bit longer, about a year and a half. So, if for some people who have that mentality of, "I can just 1 week is fine, 1 year is okay," it just
Wow.
depends on you. So
I
once you
see.
really do feel like you are comfortable to start dating again, actually, let me rephrase that. Once you feel that you're comfortable with accepting the fact that that past relationship is over and you start to focus on yourself and you've become in agreement with yourself
Mhm.
that you and I can move on from this, and then you decide to start dating again, I think that's when you have made that decision that you are in the clear. So it's
No,
kind of like a
yeah.
three-step process when you think about it.
No, I agree. I think you hit some good things there because I often feel like as women, we get into that stage where we're finally getting out there, we're finally being vulnerable, and then all of a sudden, the ghost from the past wants to come back.
Right. And that's the test.
Mm.
That's the ultimate test. And for me, that hasn't happened, and I don't think that will happen because
Wow.
and that's perfect.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
my work is cut out for me, right? But for
Do you
people
think
like
it?
yeah, but for those who actually have to see their ex from and I've heard this many times is some people work with their ex, so they can't really move on, or some people happen to see them at random places or their ex keeps calling them. This goes back to what I was saying is like, can you do this on your own? Can you press the block button? Can you tell that person, "Please, enough"? Or can you just move and just get the hell away from that person? Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, you cleared up something that I was thinking about the other day, and I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's part of the process. It's once you've already accepted that, you've already accepted it. It's just it's a test, right?
The ultimate test, I mean, think about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Shervin, how can women and men embrace their dark feminine without fear or shame? Because you brought up a little bit about how you were fearing going up to this girl at the beach, right?
Yeah. I think it's just to be yourself. The real thing is just to be yourself and just let it glide, just let the love sails do the work, in those, turbulent winds when you think about it, and that's the people who
Mhm.
want you to fail. So you just gotta just do it. Just let it be. Right, and don't even think what that other person is thinking. You just be you. You do the best you can. You fail, you try again.
I love that. I love that. That's so true. Because I was thinking when you're your authentic self, you're so vulnerable. You're just you. Like there's nothing you need to change about yourself or just be.
Just
I
be.
feel like women are afraid to be themselves, and I get told a lot from people. Well, not people, men or the men that I've dated. They always tell me like you're just. They always say something like in the midst of lines like you portray this verse like this person, but I feel like you're not being yourself. And I was like, well, can you elaborate a little bit about that? They're like, well, you're just like, I don't know, you act like this part. And I was like, it doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, what do you mean?
What
And I'm
is
like, maybe because you could be right. Maybe I'm not fully vulnerable yet because you're not giving me that safety to where I can be myself. I think there's only one person that I've only been able to be myself around with, which just is platonic. We're just friends. Nothing else, nothing, right? He's got his thing going on. He's a great guy, but we're just platonic friends. And I feel like for me, I think that's the only person I've been able to be funny and loud and crazy and cuss in front of him and like just be myself, because that's just, it's crazy. I think it just has to sit with the person that you're meant to click with,
Right. Yeah.
not forcing it.
And I think the moment that you do, like you said, if you're able to be yourself and that person accepts you, then that's really what else is there to do,
No,
when
I
you think
agree.
about it.
I agree 100%. That's why I always say, just because one person it didn't click, it's okay. Like I honestly think him being my friend and just being platonic was the best thing that could have happened to me, because it put me in a state where I respected myself more, and I didn't tolerate BS. And I would tell him, like, I don't like that. I don't like that you did that. I'm upset. Like we would have these adult conversations. It's crazy. Like we actually had those conversations where we would go back and forth. Maybe we would go days without looking at each other. We would still run into each other at the gym, but we would just, but I think it has to be with the person that ideally fits that size, like a shoe, like it fits.
Or other innuendos. I mean, think about it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you another question.
Yeah.
So, what do women often misunderstand about how men think and behave in relationships?
First thing is don't even try to think how a man thinks, because that you just all you're gonna get is the most disgusting things ever. So, yeah,
I figured.
yeah. It's like walking into a room full of just clothes all over the place,
Hmm.
takeout from 3 weeks ago, the TV's still on.
Oof.
Yeah. Women, I love you, but you can't. You cannot think how a man's thinking, because it's not a good mind to think about.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I saw this guy like talking to a woman on this TikTok thing, like he goes live and the girl was just ranting and ranting, like, you guys, this, and that. And he made a good point to her because he was just listening to her. He's like, you girls always assume the worst in us,
Mhm.
when in reality, that's not even what we're doing or what we're thinking. Like,
Right.
you paint this thing and
Yeah.
make us out to be the bad guys,
Right.
and it's like, it's true. We can literally be delusional in our as
Yeah.
women and be like, that guy's cheating on me.
Yeah, it's like you're expecting us to be the worst people ever. Like, you're expecting us to be cheaters. You're expecting us to be bad on the first date. You're expecting us to be bad kissers. Give us benefit of the doubt. Give us more of that confidence, like I was saying, is
Mm,
that if you want to be with us, let us accept us and have a little more faith in us. Because not all men are cheaters, not all men are manipulators, not all men are narcissists. There's a lot
right.
of great men out there. But when you put them in that category, guess what? You think of them as those types of people.
And I think going back to you as as you mentioned about the dating and stuff, like I honestly feel everybody, women and men, are out there dating based off their trauma experience, right? So they're out there projecting onto the next person. So again, you're projecting, for example, the guy cheated on you, right? So you're out there already assuming that this person's going to do the same thing. So there you go.
Sure.
You're already planting a story on this guy. He's probably not even going to do that, right? But you're planting that seed already and everything. So
Yeah.
it's like, what can I do as a woman moving forward so I don't plant that on the next person?
That's tough. I do understand that. I get that. But you just can't think that way,
Yeah, you can. Oh, I
because
love that.
if you do,
I
then you're gonna
love
be
that.
jaded from here on out.
Yeah, it starts
So,
with you. It starts with your thoughts. It starts how you
yeah.
view a relationship. Okay, are you going to be stuck in that toxic cycle? I've always been in these type of relationships. You're basically settling for the bare minimum at this point,
Yeah. And
or
again,
the comfort.
we're all human. We
Hmm.
are all human. I know that you're going to every day thinking that, but try not to think of it too much,
Mm,
right? Try and water it down every date you go on.
surrendering and just having
Yeah,
fun. I think that's one
exactly.
thing women need to hear today on this podcast, that you can't go in there, for example, bringing up the girl that went on the date for you, like I don't blame her for asking, but again, she went based off her trauma response because she wanted to see,
Yeah.
am I going to be in a situationship, or am I going to, again, it could be a handful of things for her, but again, like just being open and having fun. I mean, I'm not sure where you guys went on a date. We took her out for a drink.
We actually, believe it or not, we went down to the beach, we watched the sunset, we had wine, and we talked for like
That
3
is
hours.
so romantic.
Yeah, yeah, we had a nice time. It was actually a great date.
Well, hopefully there's a second date.
Yeah,
I don't blame her for pressing the question on the first date, but again, I think she's just trying to see where she fits.
right, right. I agree.
And I think she needs to change the thought of not where she fits. Am I going to be taken in with what I already am? Me as this, whoever she is, right?
Good call. Yeah, but only time will tell. We'll see. Honestly, that's the thing is that you can't put all your eggs in that first date basket.
Yeah, you can't. You
Yeah,
can't. You have to get to know people. You got to keep going on dates, right? Even if it's one person, two, I mean, however you may want it. I think it takes time to develop to see if it's going to be something good or not.
yeah. That's what makes it exciting.
It does. I mean, I love that you said the beach and wine. Oh my gosh, I would have been a sucker for the sunset. I would have been like, ah, like, okay, I can only be here an hour. I gotta go. Too much drinking. Get me acting funny. I always say whenever I go on dates, don't have more than two drinks, girl, because you already know we know our limits. But after a few dates, I finally say, okay, I'm gonna have like four drinks. We don't want to have shots. You want to get cray cray? Like, all right, let's go, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't been there yet. Yeah, and that's
Oh, you haven't
okay.
been there yet with someone.
And that's actually
Interesting.
fine. That's okay. Because I feel like the moment we start to slur and get a little bit too rowdy, there may
Things can
be
get out of control.
yeah, maybe some things that come out of the shelves or the cabinets or the closet where you're just like, "Oh god, I didn't see this coming." Right?
But maybe you do need to do that because, again, I feel like you're holding yourself back. I mean, you bring this up. I didn't know that about you, honestly. I thought you were like, like
Well,
going
it's a
on these
party.
dates. And I think you're just holding yourself back.
Well, I think the whole fact for me is that I don't want to get out of control because I wanna be in control.
Oh, well,
Right?
that's a guy thing.
Well, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like, I'll like, 'cause I wanna be respectful, I wanna be responsible. 'Cause I
Oh,
think when I get to that age now, like, let's just say, for example, going back to the beach, is
yeah.
if we've had 3 bottles of wine, right, and she drank 2,
Mm.
right, am I going to keep going? No, because I know the fact is
No,
we
because you're there to protect her.
exactly. So, an Uber, yes, that's fine, but the fact is that I'm okay enough to drive us, saying, "I know you've had a little bit too much, don't worry, I can drive, I'm perfectly fine." That's why I wanna be more responsible is because I want her to know that we don't have to rely on an Uber, right? We don't have to rely on other people to take us home. You gotta rely on me because I'm the one that wanted to take you out.
Oof, that
Uh,
hit it.
does that make
Ladies,
sense? Yeah.
take notes.
Right? Again, it's more me than it is the situation. I wanna be in control of our night to make sure that we get home safe.
And you should. And as you should, honestly, you kind of brought something out that I probably wasn't really looking into as far as dating, especially in men. And you bring a good point because it's a man's job to make sure you get there safely and you leave there safely,
Exactly. Yeah.
no matter where the date may be. It could be at the park, the bar, whatever restaurant. It's important, and that's a level of respect that you're giving her and you're showing her. So I love that. That shows the value that you have in yourself and for her as well. So it just brings out. Honestly, I think that's fucking amazing.
After every date, regardless of what time it is, when they're leaving, when they're driving back home or Ubering, I always say, "Just text me when you get home." I don't care what time it
Oh,
is. Yeah. That I guess that's just a father in me, but I just
I
want them to
love that.
know that, like, I want them to tell me that they're back home safe, regardless of how date they went, but I don't
No,
care.
right. I
I just need
think
to know
that's
that.
yeah. I think that's a good thing. It's a good morality that you have for yourself, and not for yourself, but for others too. It shows you care, you have empathy, and that's very good in anything because I don't want to be with someone who doesn't have empathy.
Right.
Because there is some nonchalant people out there. They don't care. They're just there to have a good time, and you're actually showing like a lot of things that a lot of women would want in a man: empathy, compassion, friends. I feel like you're gonna get married soon. I don't know. I just feel it in my bones. You're literally talking from
To be
experience, which
continued.
Because have
I'm
you
hoping.
ever been married?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes.
I was married
Once, twice,
one time. One time.
one time.
We were married for less than 5 years, but no, she's an amazing woman. We're great friends.
Aw.
But yeah, I'm not sure if I want to go down the aisle. No pun intended. Not sure I want to go down that aisle again.
But you definitely want to be in a relationship for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, 1000%.
It's scary, right? To get back out there again and do the I do and get in front of the judge, or even if it's not the judge, the priest.
Well, it's just making sure that if this ever does happen again, like I want to be 10,000% certain that this is it. But
That
again,
doesn't.
you don't know. You don't know what the future holds.
You're right. You just have to be open. You do, you do, you do. And what makes a man truly respect and commit to a woman?
I think you have to respect yourself first as a man.
Mm,
Once you do, then you can show those traits to that woman, but letting
mhm,
her know that I'm not crazy, like this goes back to safety, right? This goes back to like telling women like, don't worry. I promise you, I swear to you, you're fine. You're in good hands because I know myself better than anyone else. And the fact that you have dedicated your night to me, I'm going to do everything in my power to let you know that you are safe, you're protected, you're going to have a good time. And just
mhm,
know that you will be able to go back home tonight
mhm.
safe and sound and not having to worry. Because again, safety is number one. And I know women text their friends or family where they're at, and I think that's great.
Right.
But I think a man needs to feel confident in themselves, knowing that they are safe within themselves first.
Mhm.
In order for them to go out on dates with women, I think they need to do that to put themselves to the test.
That is the test. You're right.
Yeah.
It's like you mentioned it earlier, right? You have to have that level of respect for yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then this person's gonna do anything at this point. There could be manipulation, and there could be all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you make a good point here. I think women and men, if we don't do that, then we're gonna attract just that because we're giving that to that person. We're giving that energy. We're giving that, like, the minute you set the tone, that sets the tone for the man to show you what they can give you, like the whole of giving, the provider, serving, everything that you just mentioned. I think that's one thing that women have to honor. You have to be able to have someone that does that for you, but you have to also do it for yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the key
First.
thing here. That's the
Yeah.
key thing. I love that you mentioned that. So how does a high value woman inspire a man to rise into his masculine energy?
Yeah. I think it's reassuring him,
Oh.
letting him know that you are a man. I love you for being a man. Continue to be a man. Continue to be a respectful man. And I will continue to be a respectful woman. And I will do everything I can to make sure that you know that whatever you're doing is appreciated, right? And we build ourselves up together as a power couple.
This sounds too cute. It sounds like a Hallmark card.
Was it cheesy?
No, it wasn't. It was a good. I think you put it beautifully. I think that's true. Like, honestly, the way you said it, we women, and I'm not saying, I think I've seen where I didn't reassure enough. Not that I was selfish, but I didn't do that. So now it makes sense. It makes sense.
Do that
Like
in the
now.
next relationship. What do you
Hmm.
think about it?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. The next relationship, the next person.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's kind of like the good things that you have from the past relationship, carry those on to the next one.
That's true. That's true. All right, friends. So, what advice would you give to women who want to understand men on a deeper level?
Is to be patient with men more.
Mm,
Is to understand that not most men will not open themselves up immediately. So give them like I said, that comfort that they're in a safe place. That's okay for them to let their guard down, emotional guard down. And I think once they do that, then women will see them, and by that time, women can determine whether they like it or they don't. So that can kind of gauge on whether or not you're going to pursue this person or not. So I think patience is the name of the game here for women with men.
you called me out.
Yeah. See, I knew it.
That was one thing that I've been working on this whole, well, last year going into this year is patience because I don't give myself patience. I'm just so like, and again, this goes back to everything in life in general. You go from flight or flight response, your trauma response. So it's like learning to just take your time, like getting that surrendering.
Have to. Yeah. You have to play and just be patient. It'll all come in full fruition. So just relax.
For sure. I do need to do a little more relaxation and more patience, definitely. Well, friend, I don't know if you have any questions for me before we end it or
Well, let's
anything
do
you would
this
like to
again.
share
This
with
was
everybody.
this was great. See, I feel like you and I we've been on a roll. We always inspire each other. We ask each other some really good questions. So let's keep doing more of these. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. You already know anytime that we have is always fun. One of these days, maybe I'll go to Cali. I don't know. Maybe I'll go stand in the sun by myself.
Yeah, that would be fun to do one together in person. That would be cool.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. We'll see. Summer, probably summer.
Yeah,
So
I'm not going
I have
anywhere.
more time. The kids are gonna be off with their dads, so hopefully then I can have more time for me as well. I definitely want to be connecting and networking, and of course, still doing the podcast. Like that's definitely one of my goals is getting out there and hitting people and helping people, serving people. And I just feel like that's something that I love doing right now.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is right.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
Before I let you go, Fred, I was like, I gotta show him something. So, do you believe in manifestation?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, this is gonna scare you. So I started a year ago. Everybody, manifestation is crazy. I'm a big manifester, so
Okay.
I had cut out a bunch of little images from a magazine of things, goals, houses, and so forth, right? And there's one that freaks me out because I manifested you. Like it's crazy. I honestly was like, I cut this picture out with no intention, but I did it because I wanted a podcast. So I cut this picture and I honestly think it looks like you. I was like, oh my God. Like, how is this possible?
Okay.
I mean, a little, but I said, I honestly, and then right next to us says, we want her job. Like, I literally, like, that's crazy because we're doing the thing, you know? So it's like, I literally, like, brought it into fruition. Little did I know, everybody sent, I think, a comment on your TikTok, something you said, and then after that you DM'd me, and then we just connected at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Crazy, right?
It's nuts how that works. It's right.
So, friend, get manifesting. I'm just saying, we're
I'm gonna.
manifesting right now.
Okay,
So,
I'm manifesting right now. It's
I'll teach you more about it.
yeah, but can you please? Yeah, I think that would
I
be a good.
will.
Yeah, I think we'll have to have more. We should have.
Yeah, we'll have a next episode on
There
manifestation
we
for
go.
sure.
I'm in. I'm in.
Alrighty, sounds good. Well, everybody, thank you once again for tuning in here with me with the Woman Pod and my guest, Shervin. As you know, you guys can give them a follow, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys once again for tuning in with us today. Have an amazing week. I love every one of y'all.